A shortage of available labour and the increasing quest for water use efficiency in recent years has seen many furrow irrigators change systems and purchase either lateral moves or centre pivots. It's an expensive exercise to do this, and if the pressure systems are not operating to their performance specifications, there may be little advantage gained by the changeover. Dr. Lance Pendergast from the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry at Emerald explains why it's important to regularly evaluate your pressure system.
If they've got a new system and they've had it evaluated and everything's working hunky-dory and according to spec and they're getting 90% efficiency out of it, which is excellent, which they should expect, then that's great. But over time, things can change. So just by keeping an eye on a few variables, they can have a really good handle on how their system's going. And specifically, I'm talking about pressure here. The whole centre pivot or lateral move, for that matter, is reliant on operating within a certain pressure range. So any variation from that pressure range will have a deleterious effect on the performance of the machine. So simple things such as a pressure gauge hanging out on the far end of a machine that as you drive by you can just stick your head out the Toyota window and have a look at, make sure it's where it should be and always has been up to that point, can give you really good information on how the system's performing. If it starts to drop away from what it should be, you immediately know something's amiss and you can go and start checking it out and finding out what it is and getting the machine back to operating right.
So if you wanted to go into it in a bit more depth, what sort of procedure do you follow then to evaluate it more thoroughly?
Well, a thorough evaluation, a system efficiency evaluation, measures a few parameters. Again, the key is pressure, but we also do a measurement on the flow rate. And the key performance indice we get out of doing these evaluations is called the coefficient of uniformity, which is a value placed on how uniform it's distributing the water across the field. I mean, that's a key to these machines. Nice, even irrigation, beautiful, even crop.
And when should you start to pick up and sort of take notice when that coefficient of uniformity gets to what percentage point?
All right, well, having invested this considerable amount of money in this machine, usually that's based on the expectation of increased yields. I mean, that's what justifies doing it. So to achieve this, a grower should be expecting, and what's typically promised, is excellent performance. So a coefficient of uniformity for excellent is 90%. Historically, the machines have been way below this. Thankfully, over the last few years, I've noticed in the work I've been doing that newly installed machines are more readily achieving up in this top end of performance.
So when the retailers install them on a farm, do they actually check to make sure that it's working at 90% efficiency?
To varying degrees. We recommend that a full system performance audit is done as part of the handover process. So the recommendation typically being pushed in the industry is to, for example, not make that final payment until you have the stats in front of you that guarantees that what you ordered and paid for is exactly what you ordered and paid for.